Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village on the edge of a forest. Wherever she went, she always wore her bright red cloak. So the villagers called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go and visit her grandma. Her mother said she could, and gave Little Red Riding Hood a basket of freshly baked bread to take with her. "Remember to go straight to Grandma's house," said her mother. "Please do not dawdle or wander from the path. And most importantly, do not talk to any strangers." "I won't, Mummy, I promise," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she kissed her mother and went on her way. As Little Red Riding Hood was walking through the forest, she found a beautiful patch of wild flowers. She decided that she would pick some for her grandma, completely forgetting her promise to her mother. She sat a while daydreaming amongst the flowers and watching the butterflies. In fact, she was enjoying the summer day so much that she didn't notice a big black shadow creeping up behind her. All of a sudden, a wolf appeared beside her, and in his most friendly voice he said, "Where are you going all by yourself, little girl?" "I'm on my way to see my grandma, and I'm in a terrible hurry," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she ran down the path to her grandma's house. But the wolf was sneaky, and he knew the forest well, so he took a shortcut. When the wolf arrived at Grandma's house, he knocked lightly on the door, and a grandma's voice from inside said, "Goodness me, come in, child. I was beginning to worry. You've been such a long time." As quick as a flash, the wolf burst through the door and swallowed Grandma whole. Pleased with himself and quite full, he then put on one of Grandma's frilly nighties and her sleeping hat. A few minutes passed and there was a knock on the door. The wolf leapt into bed and pulled the covers up to his pointy nose. "Who is it?" he said in the sweetest voice he could manage. "It's me, Grandma, Little Red Riding Hood," came the reply. "How wonderful, my dear. Do come in," said the wolf. When Little Red Riding Hood went into the house, she could hardly recognize her grandma. "Grandma, whatever is the matter? Your voice has changed," she said. "Oh, I have a bit of a cold, my dear," said the wolf, pleased with his own craftiness. "But, Grandma, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood as she walked closer to the bed. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," croaked the wolf. "But, Grandma, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied the sneaky wolf. "But, Grandma, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, her voice shaking. "All the better to eat you with, my dear," snarled the wolf as he leapt out of bed to chase Little Red Riding Hood. Realizing this was not her grandma, but a terrible wolf, Little Red Riding Hood ran out of the front door, into the forest, shouting, "Help! Wolf!" A woodcutter who was chopping logs nearby heard Little Red Riding Hood's cry and ran towards her. Just as the wolf was about to pounce, the woodcutter took a giant leap and grabbed the wolf. The wolf was so surprised that he gave a mighty cough, and out popped Grandma. She was a little shaken and slightly smelly, but she wasn't hurt at all. Little Red Riding Hood was so happy. "I won't dawdle in the forest any more, and I will never talk to strangers again," she said. The woodcutter bashed the mean old wolf on the head and sent him far into the forest with a warning never to return. Little Red Riding Hood then had a lovely afternoon with her grandma, and they all lived happily ever after.